All right, let's jump right into MJ DeMarco's The Millionaire Fastlane. In the next few minutes, we're going to unpack a philosophy that pretty much flips the script on everything you've probably been taught about how to get rich.
I mean, really think about that for a second. The story we're always sold is that wealth is something you get when you're old. You know, maybe in a wheelchair after 50 years of hard work. But what if that whole idea is just wrong?
So for the author, this entire way of thinking kicked off with one single, really powerful moment. It's an event he calls the Lamborghini Prophecy. And honestly, it's the kind of origin story that changes absolutely everything. That's the question. That's what a young MJ DeMarco nervously blurted out to the owner of a Lamborghini Countach he spotted outside an ice cream shop. He was totally expecting some old, gray-haired guy to climb into the driver's seat. But nope. The owner was a young guy, maybe 25 years old, who just casually said he was an inventor. Now, here's the kicker. This completely shattered DeMarco's perception of reality. All of a sudden, he realized, wait a minute, you don't have to be a famous athlete or a movie star to be both rich and young. A brand new path just opened up right in front of him.
So that one personal revelation, that another path was even possible, led him to pinpoint the huge lie that holds everyone else back. And he calls it the Great Deception, this idea of get rich slow, that most of us are just taught to follow, no questions asked.
You know the drill, right? This is the so-called safe path. It's what our parents, our teachers, our financial advisors all preach. It's basically a promise of wealth way in the future, and what do you have to trade for it? Well, just your youth, your dreams, and all of your time.
This whole playbook is sold to us as the safe, responsible game to play. But what DeMarco argues is that this is a recipe for mediocrity, not for real, extraordinary wealth. It's basically a 50-year gamble, where your entire life is the poker chip, and the finish line is, yeah, a wheelchair.
And this slide just lays out the brutal trade-off perfectly. On one side, you have the promise, hey, you'll be rich at 65. But on the other, you have the reality, wealth in a wheelchair. They promise financial security, but the reality is a life filled with sacrificed dreams. It's not a safe path. It's a 50-year roll of the dice.
So, if get rich slow is the big deception, what's the alternative? Well, DeMarco lays out this brilliant framework of 3 completely different financial roadmaps. And trust me, the one you choose absolutely determines where you end up. Let's break this down for a second because it's really important. Just look at the different wealth equations. The sidewalker lives on their income plus whatever debt they can rack up. The slowlaner, well, they trade their time for a job and just hope the stock market goes up. But look at the fastlaner. Their equation is totally different. They build a business system that works for them, creating wealth and, more importantly, freedom, starting today. Now, to really get the other paths, we first have to understand the most crowded one, the sidewalk. This is the trap that explains why so many people, no matter how much money they make, are always struggling.
So what is a sidewalker? Simple. Their financial plan is to have no plan at all. They are completely driven by instant gratification, and this creates this vicious cycle he calls lifestyle servitude, where you're basically a slave to your job just to pay for your next cool thing.
And this right here is the most crucial part. Their wealth equation is just their income plus whatever debt they can get their hands on. This means a doctor making $500,000 a year can be just as broke, or even more broke, than someone making $40,000. Why? Because they're both on the sidewalk. More money never, ever solves the underlying problem.
And if you think that's just a theory, well, the data tells the story. Just look at the median U.S. net worth, and this is excluding home equity. For someone between 35 and 44, the median net worth is just $13,000. That's it. This isn't an opinion, it's the bleak, statistical reality of the sidewalk. It's a road that leads to a cliff.
Okay, so take a second and be honest with yourself. Do any of these sound familiar? These aren't meant to be judgments. They're more like diagnostic questions. These are the telltale symptoms of a sidewalker mindset, and just recognizing them is the absolute first step to getting off that path for good.
So all of this leads to a really critical question. Before we can even think about getting on the right path, we have to completely redefine the destination. We have to ask ourselves, what is true wealth? Really?
Society just loves to feed us this image of what wealth is, doesn't it? The flashy cars, the giant mansions, the private jets. DeMarco has a great name for this, faux wealth.
It's a toxic illusion that looks amazing on Instagram, but is completely hollow and, frankly, destructive.
So here's the alternative. This is the real prize, the wealth trinity. True wealth has nothing to do with stuff. It's all about these 3 F's. First, family, having strong, meaningful relationships. Second, fitness, your health, your energy, your vitality. And third, freedom, having the choice to live how you want, when you want. That is the real goal.
And here is the great paradox, the trap that so many people fall into. Chasing the look of wealth, that faux wealth, is the fastest way to absolutely destroy real wealth. You end up trading your freedom for car payments, your health for a high-stress job, and your relationships for longer hours at the office.
So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. Wealth is not a lottery ticket. It is not a lucky break. It's not some one-time event. It is a process. It's a road trip that you have to actively take, and you're the one in the driver's seat. You need the right map, the right car, and the skills to actually drive it.
And that brings us to the final and most critical question of all. Take a hard look at your life, your habits, your mindset. Which road are you really on? The sidewalk, the slow lane, or are you ready to start looking for the entrance to the fast lane? You know that #1 rule of personal finance they always drill into us? Pay yourself first? Well, this book comes out swinging and says if you have a regular job, that's literally impossible. It's a nice little fantasy that's designed to keep you cruising along in the slow lane. And here's why that whole pay yourself first idea just doesn't work for most people. Look at the slow lane. When you get a paycheck, who gets paid first? The government, through taxes. Always. You get what's left over. But the fast lane, it completely flips the script. The goal isn't to pay yourself first, it's to own yourself first. See, when you own the business, you control the cash flow. You pay your business expenses, which includes your own salary, and then the government gets its share from what's left. Huge difference. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we're going to talk about owning the vehicle itself, and yep, that vehicle is you. Then we'll grab the steering wheel and talk about choice. After that, we'll cover the fuel, which is your time. We'll do some critical maintenance with education, and finally, we'll figure out how to find the right road to actually drive on. All right, let's dive into part 1. Before you can even think about hitting the highway, you have to legally own the vehicle. We're not just talking metaphors here. This is a real structural change you have to make that basically unlocks the entire fast lane strategy. This is where that idea of owning yourself gets really practical. It means you need to form a legal business entity. Think a corporation or an LLC. What this does is create a kind of legal shield between your personal life and your business life. It's not just you doing work anymore, it's your company. And that company is a separate system that you own, you control, and which gives you all those tax advantages we just talked about. Now, the book points to 3 main options: a C Corp, an S Corp, or an LLC. They each have their own little quirks, but they all give you 2 massive advantages. First, they protect your personal assets, your house, your car, if the business ever gets in trouble. And second, they open up a whole new world of tax benefits. For most people just starting out, an LLC is usually the simplest way to go. Just think of this as building the actual chassis of your car. It's the core structure that's going to protect you on your journey.
Okay, so you own the vehicle. Now it's time to get in the driver's seat and take control. And the most powerful tool you have at your disposal? Your steering wheel, the power of your choice.
The book poses this really provocative question. If being poor were a disease, what would be the #1 cause? It's not a lack of money. It's not a lack of opportunity. Those are just symptoms. The book argues that the root cause, the actual illness, is a long series of poor choices. I mean, think about it. Nobody wakes up one morning and just decides, hey, I think I'll be poor today. It doesn't work like that. It gets assembled, piece by piece, one small bad decision at a time. It's the daily choice to binge watch a series instead of learning a new skill, or to put that new gadget on a credit card. These little things, they add up, and they slowly but surely steer you into a financial dead end.
This all boils down to a concept of radical accountability. Your life right now, your job, your bank account, how you feel when you wake up in the morning, it's the direct result of all the choices you've made up to this point. You are the one who steered yourself here. And you know what? That's actually great news, because it means you can start making different choices today and steer yourself somewhere new.
All right, we have our vehicle and we're in control of the steering wheel. What's next? Well, every vehicle needs fuel. And the fuel for this journey isn't what you think it is. It is not money. It's your time. Just take a look at this number,
$3 trillion. That is a mind-boggling amount of money. And get this, that's how much is traded in the global currency markets every single day. The point here isn't the number itself. The point is to show you that money is everywhere. It's abundant. It is not a scarce resource.
And here's the core mindset shift of the entire Fastlane philosophy. We are taught to act like money is rare and precious, and that time is abundant. The reality is the complete opposite. You can always find a way to get more money, but you can never, ever get more time. Time is your most valuable, absolutely non-renewable asset.
So, the book says your life is split into two kinds of time. First, there's indentured time. This is all the time you're forced to spend to earn money. Your job, your commute, all of it. You use that time as a currency to buy your free time. You know, evenings, weekends, the fun stuff. A normal job is basically a life spent trading 5 days of your indentured time for just 2 days of free time. When you think about it like that, it's a terrible deal.
So, if time is your fuel, what's punching a hole in your gas tank? Parasitic debt. Every car payment, every student loan, every credit card balance. It's a claim against your future time. You're not just borrowing money, you're borrowing time from the future version of yourself, forcing that person to work longer and harder just to pay for something you wanted yesterday. It's the emergency brake on your journey to wealth. To keep any vehicle running at peak performance, especially on a long trip, you have to do regular maintenance, right? You've got to change the oil. And in the Millionaire Fastlane, that oil is your education.
But listen, not all education is created equal. Slowlane education is all about making you a better employee. You get a certificate or a degree to hopefully bump up your salary a little bit. Fastlane education is a completely different game. It's about learning whatever you need to learn to build and grow your own business system. You're not learning to be a better cog in the machine, you're learning how to build the entire machine.
And this is so important. The moment you graduate, the moment you think, okay, I'm done learning, that's the moment your engine starts to seize up. The world is changing constantly. There are new technologies, new markets, new opportunities. If you aren't constantly learning and updating your skills, you're going to break down on the side of the road. Guaranteed.
And you don't need to go deep into debt for this kind of education. Step 1 is to just completely demolish the excuse, but I don't know how. In today's world, that's just not a valid reason. Knowledge is literally everywhere. It's free at the library, it's in online forums, it's in books. The trick is to hunt for it. And then, and this is the most important part, you have to actually apply it. Knowledge with action is totally useless. Okay, here we are, the final piece of the puzzle. You've got your vehicle, you're in control of the steering, the tank is full of precious time, and the engine is tuned up with knowledge. But none of that means anything if you turn down the wrong road. This is all about choosing the right path and, crucially, committing to the drive.
You know, there's a world of difference between being interested in getting wealthy and being committed to it. Interest is passive. It's reading a book about business. It's dabbling for an hour a day. Commitment is active. It's applying the lessons from that book 50 times. It's working 7 days a week when you have to. It's making real sacrifices. Interest is a hobby. Commitment is an obsession.
But here's the cold, hard truth. Even being fully committed doesn't guarantee you're going to make it. We've all heard this terrifying statistic. 9 out of 10 new businesses end up in a ditch on the side of the road within 5 years. So that leads to the most important question of all. Why? These aren't lazy people. They're committed. They're hardworking. So why does so many of them still fail? They fail because they get on the road for the wrong reason. They're chasing something selfish, like money or their own passion. And the world just doesn't care about your selfish desires. The market doesn't care what you're passionate about. It cares about what problems you can solve for it. To win, you have to stop chasing money and start chasing needs. Look for problems, for complaints, for gaps in the market. Provide massive value to others, and the money will chase you. That is the right road.